Let the breath do what it will naturally do. If you let it do what it does, it wants to heal. It wants to empower. It knows exactly what you need, even if you think you know or you don't know. Allow the Holy Spirit, which is pneuma, which is the ruach, the breath, something that simple that we take for granted. And it's in those nuances and it's all in the mundane.
It's so beautiful to have you guys on.
Oh, for sure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So TruthSeekah is a Christian mystic, an Amazon best-selling author, a visionary artist and a seer, and also a songwriter that has released over 200 songs, all tapping into this blissful genre of spirituality. TruthSeekah has walked a life filled with mystical encounters with God and with the angels and with a whole bunch of supernatural beings. And today he is joined by his beautiful wife, Arien, who is a spiritual teacher and an advocate for healing through faith and nature and sound and spiritual awakening. And together they co-host the TruthSeekah and Arien podcast. So you are two truly beautiful people. And it's just beautiful to see that you've made your life's work to understand the spiritual realms and to relate that back to people. And just in such a practical way too, which is just really beautiful. It's something that's endeared us to you guys and your journey. And we love your heart to help others walk in this beautiful spiritual and supernatural freedom. And that's just beautiful. So TruthSeekah and Arien, it is our honor to welcome you today to the Reimagine podcast with Sean and Kylie. So welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you guys. We normally actually record our podcast on little microphones sitting down by the river. It's normally outside and we try and pick up bird noises and things like that. But for those of you that are listening to this podcast who have always listened to it, you know that that's the case. But this time we're actually inside of our studio and we're on camera. So this is new for us. We normally just have audio podcast. So you can actually look at TruthSeekah and Arien and our fabulous selves online. And so you can, if your picture of us is that we're handsome and beautiful, then hopefully when you look at us, that's the case. But welcome to the show, guys. I've been listening to TruthSeekah in particular for, I reckon, 3 or 4 years. Before Arien became a regular on the podcast as well. And I'm challenged. I'm challenged by who you are as a person, as in how knowledgeable you are with scripture, word studies, all things spiritual. I'm challenged in a good way. I'm challenged when I listen to you that you have this flow that comes out of you of somebody who loves God and loves the spirit realm. And it's a really inspirational life that you lead, sharing who you are and your understandings of that world online. So firstly, just thank you for doing so. Thank you for putting yourself out there over and over and over again so that other people can step into this space of understanding more of the spirit realm. It's a part of the natural world that a lot of people don't sort of pay much or any attention to. And in our regular existence, as we go about our regular lives outside of our studio and our podcast, there's lots of people that seem to be almost blissfully unaware that there's a spiritual existence happening. And we just thank you so much for bringing that awareness to the world through everything that you produce, the both of you. And we know that by doing so, especially in Christian circles, because on your website, and like Kylie introduced you, one of your labels is probably you're a Christian mystic, and I know that within Christianity it's sometimes very difficult to function as a mystic, because the mystic word is not always seen to be sometimes it's seen to be a little bit dangerous, or a little bit edgy, or a little bit, wow, you don't want to go there just in case you step in something that's bad. We understand what that's like, but we thank you for being a person who's led the way in that place.
Thank you so much. That means the world, and what an honor to be able to do this work and understand such mysteries of the spirit world and how it works, only to realize we still don't know anything. Right? But the conclusion that all researchers are coming to, especially in this world that is hidden right under our noses, really, and until our spiritual eyes are awakened to be able to see it, the best we can do is try to talk about it, and I think the experience, the joy, and the fruit that it produces, right, of said what it means to be a Christian, or what it means to be a mystic, right? It's you really can't explain it, but people can feel it. They can sense the love. It's tangible. So the pursuit of this realm that is feeding us, that's healing us, that's ministering to us and sustaining us. It's the spiritual kingdom of Christ that we've been reading about since we were kids.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah, it is. It's here. Like, do you guys remember what that was, that moment? That moment where you realize, oh my goodness, everything that I currently know in this paradigm of Christianity, I just feel like there's more. Like, what was that moment for you guys? Did it come at the same time, like?
Yeah. I mean, our testimony and stuff, like, we came out of some like real like dark stuff. So the bar was set high in the supernatural, but it was for the opposing side. It was for, darkness and stuff that as a teenager. So when we got born again and Christ came into our lives and radically changed us, we weren't content with playing church. So day one, there was always this thing of like us wanting to go after it, and knowing spiritual warfare was real, knowing that demons were real, and angels were real, and all of this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I was 16, I think, when I rededicated my life back to the Lord. And so from that moment, it was like, there's always been this thing of where, like, some people go to church out of obligation. We went to church to run from demons,
Yeah.
And it was
Wow.
always, it was always real for us,
Yeah. So have you guys always been on the same page? Like,
because you guys are a couple. I don't know if you're married or not, but you're a couple.
Abraham say that. That's my sister.
No. Oh no. We've been together for 23 years, married, and 26 years if you count when we were dating as teenagers. So
wow.
yeah, we've been a couple for a long time.
I've had to put up with a lot.
That's what Sean says.
Yeah, sound like me. It's really cool to sort of get to know a little bit of your background that way too. And we talk about it a bit on our podcast because we've been married for 30 years, and we were primary school and high school, boyfriend and girlfriend. Yeah. And I think that in this space of podcasting, etc., in the Christian mystic space at least, there's not really a lot of couples. And so I think it really helps to understand that that's who you guys are. It shows the world that it's okay to be a couple that are both in ministry, if you call it ministry, together, and that you're working things out together. And so I guess what Kylie was asking there was about when you're on this spiritual path together as well as a physical path together in life, do you ever find yourselves in slightly different places, and how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I think we do. I think that the analogy of being on the same page, we're not always on the same page, but we're always in the same book at least. So we're close, but a lot of times he would have an awakening experience or an epiphany before I could get on board with it. And so I would just let him do his thing. And God always has to touch me in a different way, it seems like, on certain subjects. But I always seem to come around, and once God reveals things to me, and probably vice versa on some things too.
Yeah. With the whole, church thing and just being a seeker, you always know there's more, there's more to it. And then reading the Bible and looking at church culture, and it's like something doesn't add up, and it's people come to that conclusion, a lot. And so we just kept seeking, and that led me to different movements and online people to study under that seemed to have a piece of the truth or a piece of Christ that I saw in the Bible, and it led me to their work. Or so we came from Assemblies of God, which is very charismatic, and then became more reserved once we experienced Messianic Judaism, and so how ceremony oriented that is, and how quiet and peaceful, but still carried the presence. And so that was something that we explored for years. And then I got more extreme, studied under the Hebrew Israelites and street preaching and real fanatic with my approach. And so in and out of that, we're not doing Christmas, and Christmas is pagan and Easter is pagan and everything's demonic, throwing it all away, not eating kosher and those kind of things. And I kind of just drug her with me most of the time. I feel like at the beginning it was like welcome to whatever, but the more that I would learn and beliefs and things that I'm studying, I felt like it became a lot to drag my family through my constant awakening of like your beliefs shifting and changing, and then going back to Christmas, right, and going back to eating pork and stuff. I mean, it was just, I'm dragging them with me on this search. So it's always been a little bit like that extremism, but I think we're plateauing out a bit, so where we're she definitely had her own experiences and leaps and bounds here within the last a year ago, which now we're just closer than ever.
Now we're on the same page.
No, she's probably going further than me. Yeah, so we had a lot of catching up to do, I guess, but she definitely been diving in the last year of God, just rocking her life, her studies, and both of us, like, she's holding on to my coattail. We're studying together, and then now she's leading these word studies and etymologies, and just the beauty that is fun to get lost in. But usually, like, you can't coach somebody; they have to really want to do it. And she received a touch a year ago, and then got that hunger just to dive in with me, and she hasn't looked back.
So what happened a year ago?
Well, we do healing retreats. Usually every 3 to 4 months we'll have one. They were always close to home until this year. We actually branched out and did a lot of traveling, but we had a healing retreat in December here. And I had just, life gets messy. I had been going through a lot where I lost one of my closest friends to cancer. And it was just one of those things where I was just holding on to faith, like so many people, that she would be healed on this side of eternity, and she wasn't. And so that was a lot of anger and grief and things I had to work through, and including stuff from my past that I just kind of buried and didn't never get healing from it. Like, we tend to take the uncomfortable things and push them down so we don't have to feel it. At least that's been what I did throughout my life. And we did some breath work and had cacao ceremony. So cacao is, for people who don't know, it's just 100% chocolate. It's the purest form of the chocolate from the plant, from the cacao beans, including the plant fats. So it absorbs into your body and creates this beautiful heart-centering, heart-opening experience. And that, combined with the breath work, something just broke in me. It was like a dam broke, and all of this trauma and grief and emotion came forth, and God was just showing me, he was showing me all of these energy points in my body and where the blockages were and how he was moving them aside. And things got, really messy, because all the good stuff comes forth, but all the bad stuff too. So it's like when a dam breaks, all of this stuff comes through, and then it has to level out. So it was really wild for a few weeks. And once things started leveling out, it was good. But yeah, it was, I can only describe it as a Christian as being born again, because our first born again experience when we were filled with the Holy Spirit was so powerful. And it was like that, but a whole nother level to it. I came out of it feeling like a new person again, like a new creature, a new creation. And God was just showing me all this stuff. And I had, tried to pray and be in communion, but I had a lot of baggage in the way. And it was so wonderful just to be able to receive from God again and receive his love that I, didn't necessarily feel like I deserved, and receive healing and receive messages. And it led me to quit my job that I had been at for 15 years, which I loved. I loved my job, but he so beautifully shifted my passions so that I was able to hand that mantle off to someone else who also loved it, but not to look in sorrow. Like, he shifted my passion to this ministry so that it doesn't feel like I'm missing out. And that ministry was able to keep going and keep progressing. And I just haven't looked back, man. It's been incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That breath work is so powerful. I think this year has been a real experiential body, soul, spirit journey for us. And we earlier in the year, we did a 6-week breathwork course, which we'd never had anything to do with breathwork much before.
We didn't do it like all day, every day for 6 weeks.
No, just once a week for 6 weeks. But it was just what you're talking about with that. It brings up all of those things. Like, I don't think I realized that deep within our cellular makeup is held basically our journey and our life and our genetics and all of these different things, that if we've not ever been in an emotional place that's healthy, where we can process the different things we're walking out in our relationship or with God, that all just gets pushed into ourselves, really. And I think for me, that place of going, oh my goodness, I'm feeling that feeling of that brokenness I felt when I was 16, or that hurt I felt when I was 23. I can feel the emotion of it during this breathwork session that I'd actually thought, I'd forgiven that situation, and I'd moved through. In my mind, I'd found healing, and even in my heart, I'd found that place of forgiveness, but my body hadn't been healed in that space, because I was feeling like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that my body had held on to that. And I think that's the experiential journey, and this beautiful place that you guys are doing a lot in your retreats with the sound healing and those different things that we've put aside for so long as Christians. There's a lot of these things that we're tapping into now. We're like totally like, oh my goodness, we would not have gone near that in our early Christian walk, because it would have been seen as being evil or being on track or new age. And now it's a place where we're starting to find healing. So I love that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I experienced.
Yeah, I actually hugged Jesus in the breathwork thing that we did, and I'd never seen him before. Like, I know him, but I've never actually physically seen him. And during one of the breathwork sessions that we did, I was able to see him. I didn't see his face, but I can see his shoulder and most of his back, and I was able to give him a hug, and I can feel the temperature on his skin. I still know what that feels like from, actually using that modality to meet the person that I've known for so long, actually in a physical sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, like it's something happens to you in those places, in those times in your life, if you allow them to happen, where the course of your life changes. And so whenever I find myself in places of, difficulty in my thinking, wondering whether we should just go back and, do the business things that we've done in our past, the patterns of the world, wondering whether I should go back into the patterns of the world because it's easier there, then I can picture hugging Jesus thanks to the modality of breathworks. So I know that you guys speak about different modalities. I know that you guys are into. It seems like I've been stalking you, and that's because I have. But I know that you guys are into, incense and all these sorts of things that the church in the past would have called new age or dangerous places. Is there anything that you want to share with us that you've been doing lately that's interesting or that's been beneficial for you?
Yeah, just going in deeper with the plants and stuff, and seeing them as, extensions of God's healing, God's cleansing devices and communication devices with his angels. Like, they're all tied in, like the plants and the angels and the stars, all of it's. So when you start studying the words and stuff and like where they come from, and then tracing them back to the Bible, which is going back to Greek, right? Greek and Hebrew, you start seeing like this really deep backstory on things that are mentioned, frankincense and myrrh and those things, and what were they used for? And this is asking those questions. And so, we start with those things, just like finding them in the Bible. And I think those two were the ones that everybody knows about, right? Frankincense and myrrh were in the scriptures. And then we start reading about more and then asking questions in the, the word studies. What if, the burning bush, what if that was a, some type of plant that was releasing an aroma? So I went and looked up the word bush in the Hebrew, and it's the word senna, which is a type of plant that allows you to cleanse. And so just buying books on plants of the Bible and all that kind of stuff, and then the angels that they're tied to, it just opens up so much intrigue. And there's this quality that I think the study has always done for me, for us, and probably for everyone really. The more information that you have, I feel like it allows us to experience or appreciate different aspects of a person, a place, a thing, once we know that it's multidimensional. Whether it's not just talking about, the mundane. It's there's something deeper that plant is connected to, that it is connected to an angel, or is connected to a servant of the Lord that's mentioned in the Bible who shares that same name, kind of thing. And so it's these little things like that stand out to you, that grab your attention. And so mindfulness and contemplation, while burning incense, while singing a song, while doing healing bowls and gongs and things like that. And so to just be able to step back and appreciate and let it do what it does, just like the breath. Let the breath do what it will naturally do. If you let it do what it does, it wants to heal. It wants to empower. It knows exactly what you need, even if you think you know or you don't know. Allow the Holy Spirit, which is pneuma, which is the ruach, the breath, something that simple that we take for granted. And it's in those nuances, and it's all in the mundane. Because the kingdom of heaven, to the majority of Christians, not just the world of the Christians, is mundane. It is in the clouds. It is in the rain. It is in the vegetation. It is in the incense. It's in the everybody that it's in their names. It's just the beauty of the kingdom all around you. It's always been here, but it's been hidden from us because we were too busy. So I think that that's our daily practice. I would say that just is, it makes everything more special.
Yeah, definitely. Because it is a challenge, I think, when you see and hear about the mystical journeys of others, and we just get that highlight reel. You get those encounters that as you are in circles for long enough, you realize they're the same stories that we each tell about those highlight moments, but there's all this everydayness in between that we can actually be having these divine special moments in, like we were just talking about coming to the States at coffee this morning, and we were like, I don't know if we should be going, or we were kind of having this moment where you go, oh gosh, like
We were having an argument
about whether it was a good idea to just go to the States with just plane tickets and nothing else. When I say the States, I mean like the US. And then Sean goes, oh, look at that guy over there. We turn around and there's a guy standing there in an Ohio State University t-shirt right here in, downtown, in our downtown little country town in Australia. And it's just those things that kind of happen. It's like this adventure and this game, that we're constantly on as we're really diving into the experiential journey with God. And I think I think it was one of your latest podcasts, you guys were speaking about that place of the active imagination and getting in touch with your inner self, and how important is that on this journey that we're undertaking, where we're looking to be expanded, but we're also hoping in our expandedness that we're going to bring more of a place, like a higher consciousness that will bring others into a more of an expandedness too. So yeah, can you guys speak to that?
Yeah, it's so awesome to come back to a place where you get in touch with who you really are and who God created you to be. Even as a little girl, like I've always been so in tune with nature, with plants and animals, and the mainstream Christian church, witches are the ones that have the plants and make the potions with the little mortar and pestle and have the animals all around and in the forest. And that's like always been my dream. So like to come to the Christian faith and be taught that that's evil, or to be taught that you're this evil thing and you're so unworthy of anything. And like even a lot of the songs we sing in church is like crying out because you're so unworthy. And I mean, God doesn't make trash, like to get in tune with who you are and really embrace the good, and to know that Christ is in all of us and he's redeeming us. Like even the ugly parts and the parts that we don't necessarily like, he's redeeming all of that and making us a new creation, like the word kainos in the Greek, becoming a new creation, something totally new and different. Yeah, it's happening so much now, and you see it happening in so many people around, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think that all together, it's slowly raising the vibration and the consciousness as a collective. And it's a beautiful thing to witness and to be a part of.
Yeah, I think it changes because it is our pursuit, right? As Christians, as believers, like we want to be, world changers. We want to leave an impact. We want to leave this place better than we found it. And it's ministry, right? We want to help. But eventually it becomes this thing that you stop trying and you just become. You just are. It's like we're not even, we don't try. We don't, and it's because like just your presence is healing people. I mean, that's what happened to Jesus. Like, just hang out. We just want you to be here. You ain't even got to speak to us. Just sit next to us. Give me a hug. Yeah. Like you don't have to teach me. You don't have to bless my family. You don't have to give me anything. Just be next to me. And that's what's happening in the life of the believer. Is we're becoming that. And it's less about trying or striving and just more about just this place of peace and rest. It's with the promise that he's given us that we're I think we're just merging with it more. We're, becoming that thing that we desired, and it didn't take effort. The effort. I think the effort kind of got in the way of everything.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. It's real interesting, and because we still have the desire and pursuit to do it, but it's like this. The servants of the Lord must not strive. It's just now it oozes out of everything you do.
Yeah, a reoccurring theme for us at the moment is, the patterns of the world and being transformed by the renewing of our mind and all of that, spoken about in Romans. And it's difficult to do because the patterns of the world want to keep us in the patterns of the world. It's like once you take a loan for your house, then you need to have a job to pay for that. It's like this whole pattern that keeps on repeating itself, and it's difficult to get yourself out of that pattern, to find yourself in a place where you're allowing yourself to stare at mushrooms in the forest, and because you've created a busyness that removes you from that. And it's an interesting space, this I guess we keep on calling it Christian mysticism, and I'm okay with the term Christian mysticism. I think that's what I am. That's a part of what I am, but I don't identify solely as that, because I think sometimes we need to be all things to whoever's around. Sometimes even those terms are like, oh my goodness, you're a mystic. I don't want anything to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the pursuit of Christ and mysticism and the beings that that I haven't read your book, but I see in that space very well as well. So in the pursuit of seeing those things in those spaces, it's very difficult to do that when you're driving a truck around and around and around in circles delivering bread. So how do we as a group of people moving forward help people to step into believing that all things are possible when we're so busy?
Yeah, it's just to simply show them, and just do what we're doing right now. And again, it's not. It goes from telling and explaining, which I've tried my best, and I don't feel like I'm very good at it, but we still try. It's just showing, showing, because that's how God does for us. So so how He's teaching us, um, try our best to teach people that way and learn how He teaches and how He's patient with us, because you can't really. I found that you can't teach it. I try to show people, and it's like it's unseen. So, but when you experience, because you guys know that, like we've definitely had the pursuit of like, we want you to experience God. Like, come to church and experience Him in worship. Just experience Him in an altar call or somebody laying hands on you, because you can feel peace. You can feel His presence there. So it's always about let's create an environment where they can experience it, right? And so those were like special places that you had to go to, just like some of the grandiose experiences that we may have written about in books or like are stapled in our lives, of these mystical encounters that we've had, that are monuments in our staples, but only to show us that every moment is just as powerful and just as mystical and full of angels and full of the beauty. So it doesn't take much. I know, relating it back to breath work, like we could do a breath work session and go in really deep, or you could just take a moment, breathe in, and just say thank you for the breath. And like that's how simple it is. And so while you are driving the bread truck, I was doing it, right? I was a delivery driver. While you are doing that, to just to gaze and to be mindful. And I got really good at keeping one eye on the road and one eye on the clouds in the sky as I'm praying, and God is showing me things. And so the mystical, the mystery of Christ is revealed in the mundane, and He wants to be a part of our everyday. He wants to be a part of our business. He wants to, so that we don't turn it off and on, which is not easy. It's not easy by any means, because dollar signs and bills come up, and it's real quick, and it's like I got to go into work mode. I'm finding out like it doesn't work. He takes care of our needs. Like if I get into this mode of like I need to create to make money, nothing worth anything comes from it, and I'm in a bad place and I'm stressful. But if I just get into playful childlike awe and wonder and rest and go stare at clouds or mushrooms,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's always he's there. Like that's the place he's pulling us to. And I don't know if we can teach people to hold on to that and incorporate that into everything that they're doing, I think that's the way. And I'm still
Yeah,
learning. We're not experts in it by any means. It's definitely a challenge.
I really love that, the way that you've explained that too, mate, because it's not necessarily, okay, I need to stop driving trucks to experience God, or you need to stop doing this thing that you're doing that you don't necessarily enjoy doing. Like you can actually have it all together at the same time. It's just a momentary realization, a flick of a switch. Hang on, I'm not separate from this reality. I don't have to go to this place to get my fix of God. I don't have to stop doing this thing and then go over and meditate for a period of time. Like it's all available all of the time. It's just an awareness of, oh, I forgot. There's an angel in the room right now. I can see the angel whilst I'm doing the job that I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, so often we pass on joy because we're looking for it tomorrow. You think, oh, I have to work today, but the weekend's coming and then I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have joy. Like it's just programmed into us. It's nobody's fault. It's how we're programmed with our words and our verbiage and the world we live in. But it's funny because we have a little Mexican restaurant here and they have a sign up and it says free margaritas tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Every day you go, it says free margaritas tomorrow. So if you're looking for joy tomorrow, it's never going to come. You really have to find it every moment where you are, whatever you're doing.
It's so true. It's that concept of the eternal now, isn't it? Like it's just we're always in the now, and we are waiting for that breakthrough that's coming down there. Then we're going to be happy. It's actually an illusion, really, in a lot of ways. This place we're always driving towards and never actually ever coming to.
Yeah,
I think that was the beautiful part about, the whole story of Brother Lawrence for me was just like when I found joy at the kitchen sink was when I really started to find this place of like, oh my goodness. It's like Justin Abraham talks about it being the innie, like you're always in, like this place of never outness. And I think probably the person that speaks that the most to me is Nancy Cohen, because I feel like Nancy, for me, she just is like she really is everything that she speaks. Like, I mean, you guys have met her, haven't you? Like when you sit in a presence of those eyes and she's just like, oh, you like, it's just like, oh my goodness, this person is actually the closest I've ever come to being an eternal shining one. That is just whenever I've ever met her and seen her, she's just shining. And I feel like for me and for a lot of others that we have walked with, we still have those days, like those days where you just almost, I don't know that I would necessarily say they're all a dark night of the soul, that place of the crisis of faith and all that kind of stuff. But when you do experience that, how do you navigate that? How do you come through that place where you just feel like, am I crazy? Am I the only one that thinks like this and sees like this? Especially when we're not immersed in that place of community all the time.
Yeah, that's a good navigating and balancing, because it's polarizing. All of this is polarizing. And so, there's warnings, I would say, that we should, be aware of, that we're just not out of touch with family and with reality and things, and it's hard to walk the narrow path, because people like, I don't want to be the person that's, I don't want to be, I already am. You know, that's the person talking to himself walking down the road. But now we literally are. Like I'm literally, both of us are walking around, twiddling our thumbs, looking at the clouds, just talking to ourselves. And I remember just in the past, like this fear of like, you know, the place where it's like you're just out of touch with this world, and you see those people walking down the road, and now we are those people. The thing that, you know, we've become it. But you know, there is a balance. You know, it's I'll say it like this. Todd White says this. He says, you know, we've heard that you don't want to become so spiritually minded that you're no earthly good, but he says become so spiritually minded, heavenly minded that you're earthly incredible, where you actually have impact. You know, where you have something that's tangible, where people seek you out. You know, see, that's where the ministry ends up changing. Like Jesus, like the people come to him. There's a point where this changes, where you don't have to go and find people to preach to, which Christianity taught us that we have to go out and save souls. They're seeking you out because there's something that you have that they desire. So something that's tangible, that's just, again, just becomes normal. People come to you because they know that you have a peace in the midst of, you know, how polarizing this world is, and so many tactics, so many snares for us set up: debt, politics, so many things to divide us against each other, and continually dividing us into denominations and derivatives and pitting us against one another. And the church played a big part on that, and still does, of making us fight each other. But Christ plays an even bigger role of uniting everyone into one body, and we're not divided in him. So I think that just is a bigger picture of everything we've been talking about as far as your work. It's not divided. You don't turn it off and on. Your ministry, you don't turn it off and on. The greatest advice I ever received and applied was to, you know, being led and called to ministry, but they showed me what ministry was, and understanding that my life was my ministry. When I put my 2 feet on the floor each and every day that I awaken, that my ministry starts there. And then I would go get in the truck, and I would drive the truck, and I would live like that's the ministry. People, we see microphones and cameras and things like this, and we think stages and that's ministry. No, your life is your ministry. And once you get content with that, and you stop trying to will it and bring it and force it and strive and work to bring it into the moment, know that it already is. And with ease and grace, it comes. That's how I got out of the truck. Literally within just, of like making that decision and knowing, okay, God, if I'm here for a reason. Let me learn all those reasons and quit trying my best to get out of this truck. With ease and grace, within 2 weeks or something like that, I got let go of my job and was able to step into this, and haven't looked back. That we get to wake up and do this amazing, fun existence, life, and I think we need to look at that no matter where we're at, though, and because you don't turn it off and on. That's the biggest key.
Yeah, we're those crazy people that walk up and down the street staring at the sky as well. And we, with this town that we live in now, we've been here for like 3 years, and we didn't know anybody when we moved here, and that was kind of intentional. It was a period of time for us of just healing from the busyness of some of the other activities in our life. But slowly people have been drawn to us, like, I wish we had your life, that those words get spoken to us regularly. I wish that we got to do what you do, but nobody knows what we do. We don't even know what we do really. And sometimes we'll walk for 5 kilometers to the other side of town to buy an apple, or something like that. And that's what people say. If only I could be like you. Well, you can. You can be like. You can, whatever it is that you see on TruthSeekah and Arien and other people that are walking in the spaces of believing that all things are possible and God's got everything. There's nothing you have to do to come into more favor with him, but you can just live a life of freedom. Whilst ever you live a life like that, people do see it. They might not ask you every day. They might not, you don't have people lining up all the time saying, give me the answer, give me the answer. But I agree. Like, it's like pursuing the joy that he has laid out for you. What is it that you want to do today that you think is going to bring you joy, Sean? I love riding motorbikes, and I'm fortunate enough to have a motorbike, and I just can't believe that almost every day I can hop on my motorbike and ride it for no reason, not to go anywhere, not to do anything, but just for the joy of it. So yeah, pursuing the joy of the Lord. Do I go out into the backyard? And I've been seeing some photos that you guys have been posting, probably Aaron, of mushrooms, etc. Like, do I go out in the backyard and just take photos of mushrooms? Is that enough of an existence? Is that, like, am I doing enough life if I'm just doing that? Is that good enough? Yeah. Do you want to share some experience of your nature journey? Like, what is it like for you when you're out in the forest cruising around? Are you trying to tear yourself away from the busyness of the computer and the ministry work that you're building? Are you going out there intentionally just trying to feel him in creation? Where do you find joy outside of the work that you sometimes find yourself doing?
So that was the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about it. For me, is going on a nature walk and looking for mushrooms. Like, that's just, I love looking for new plants and then researching them and what they do and what their names are. And the same thing for mushrooms. Like, I met with a friend of mine who used to work at the Buckaroo Barn, and she had made me this little guy for Christmas.
Oh, it's adorable.
That's just my thing. Like, I love looking at the mushrooms because, and we were talking about this just yesterday, like, they change so much from day to day. It's almost like you can see them changing before your eyes. And, like, I don't know, it's just incredible. And they're beautiful little creations. And when I was still working at Buckaroo Barn, we had this trail that we would walk on with our patients, with the horses. And I got really good at spending those moments being present and paying attention. And I'd see all kinds of mushrooms and animals and bugs I'd never seen before, little baby pine trees growing with the seed cap still on the top, like those little magical things. So I started calling it Trail Treasure, and I would just take these pictures and hashtag it Trail Treasure. And, I would go through, depression or go through a mental funk where I wouldn't post for a little while. And people would be asking me, so I haven't seen you posting trail treasures in a while. And people started asking me to make a book out of it because they really enjoyed these tiny little things that other people walk past and they don't notice. But if you're truly present and you're truly paying attention, you notice that magic is real and it's all around you. Yeah. But the same person can walk the same trail and not see any of it. So for that person, it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. So it became my practice to go on nature walks and pay attention and kind of give honor and give life to these little things that go unnoticed. And there's so much beauty in it because it's the same for the angelic and the spirit realm, that they're all around us all the time. And they're trying to engage and they want to engage. It's just a matter if we're paying attention and if we reach back out to them.
So she worked outside for a living. Like she and it was work because it was hard, but she worked with horses and helping disabled children on horseback. It was a ministry, and it was her job. It was her dream job before going full time with me. And full time with me is getting, editing videos and for hours and staring into a computer. So, which I can dive into for a really long time. I have to make myself go outside and But when I go outside, I have to make myself come in. This is how it works. But she'll get stir crazy and be like, I have to go outside, to where like quit staring at, you know, website code or whatever we're working on, and she'll go outside, and it's a reminder, you know, for me too. She's way better at it because she has to. She's like, I can't do this. I'm like, I can go for 8 hours, just not even move, you know. But it's a part of it, and so she'll just have to get up and go out. It's weird too, because like all of our stuff is outside, and it's even weird that we do the podcast inside, because we kind of go into, it's almost like a dark cave in here. We got ambient lighting and stuff, but all of our journeys and stuff, we just love being outside. So we may have to, but the camera lighting and all that stuff's not the best outside.
Well, they go down by the river and do it with the birds. They just do audio. So maybe we need some audio only outdoor podcasts.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we've tried the camera stuff outside as well, and it's really difficult to capture a good shot.
Yeah.
I love what you've got going on, you know, with your darkened room and your different color lights. It's really relaxing to watch.
Yeah, it is.
I draw, and I used to sit and draw for hours, like overnight, listening to you. Like, 3 years ago, I drew a massive big picture, a big tree. I actually sent a picture of it to you, and you said it was dope, which is not a word that I know that's a really cool word, but it's not a word that I naturally use. Like, probably, I don't know whether it's just my age or whether it's because I'm Australian. But I remember I drew that entire picture overnight, listening to you just sit there in your dark room with your nice purple light, just flowing the way that you do, the way that you just flow, everything that's inside of you just flows out. It's a beautiful natural flow. And as you were talking and I was listening and looking up every now and again at you, what came out on the page was you, like it's for me as well, when you're pursuing joy or peace or any of those fruits in the pursuit of the knowledge of God and the experience of him, when you draw or you paint or you write music, whatever it is that you've got going into you is coming out as well.
Yeah. And
so when I drew that picture and I sent that picture to you, that was a truth seeker picture. So thank you for pursuing him and the experience of him in your dark room, in your light, with your ambient light. And thank you both for just pursuing the more of the supernatural as well, because it encourages other people to firstly believe that it's true. And then I feel like there's this place of, I think Justin Abraham talks about it. I don't know whether it's a hymn quote or it's someone else, but what you honor, you attract. Like, the more that you study these things or believe that they're possible, the more that you see them. So the more that you're looking for mushrooms, the more mushrooms you will see, And so thank you for keeping on being a person who's pursuing the supernatural, so that it keeps in our minds, the people that are watching you, that this is possible and that this is true, because it helps people to see more of it themselves.
And I think it's so powerful to just bring everything into the conversation as well. And I think that's one of the things that has endeared us to you guys, is just, it's not like you're telling us something, you're inviting us into this conversation where there's this beautiful flow. And I feel like that's that heart place of the Father, where he's not screaming at us what we need to believe. He's actually inviting us into this beautiful space where we can contemplate things, that we can be expanded. That's wow, I hadn't thought of it like that. And because there's that beautiful calmness in the way that you're delivering it, it's really, I think it's like really palatable for people. So how I know that meditation is like a huge thing for you guys, and how much has meditation in your own personal walks, and now in more of a collective, like you do meditation with your people, and how has that played a role in just being able to be in that place where there is a calmness in your presence.
Meditation does play a big role, but meditation doesn't always mean just going in a dark place or closing your eyes. You know, it just means to focus on something for a period of time. So I like to meditate outside, obviously. Like, I can go sit out there and stare at the clouds or the grass and all of the thoughts and things, like the mundane stuff, like the laundry or the bills. You want to, you know, he calls it fruit ninja. You just want to swat those thoughts out of the way and let the more beautiful contemplative thoughts come in. Yeah, I love to do that.
Yeah, when it becomes natural, you know, it's when it's just natural, like but it'd be, yeah, how do you make it natural though? I'm trying to go back and like see when it became natural, if it is. It's whatever interests you. Like, you know, my imagination is very active, and just the things that stick out and genuine questions. That's what it is. It's to gaze at something and just ask a question. Even in meditation, it's like, you know, I'll always go with the question. Most of the time it was, Lord, whatever you have to show me, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Whatever whatever you have for me, Lord, I want to see it. And I don't want to focus on anything but you. Show me what you, and then things would happen, right? And then eventually, you know, it goes from a dark room, you know, to outside gazing with your eyes open, and then still asking a question, whether the question's in your heart or in your mind. And so your meditation shifts into this contemplation where it's literally never turned off. You know, so whether we're reading the scriptures or watching a movie, for some reason, you know, everything's connected. We know that. And God speaks through everything. And, you know, we're just learning new ways that he's been speaking to his creation since the beginning that we forgot about. None of this is new. This is all very old. And that's the beauty of antiquity for me, and the Bible, and books much older than the Bible that are telling the same or similar stories that have a lot in common. And that intrigues me, how much they have in common, you know, because I used to study to see what I was taught to study, you know, to find out what we have that's not in common, like what makes us different, and let's focus on the differences. And it doesn't take long. And you know, and Christianity taught me that, but Jesus taught me to have all things in common with people, and seek after the good, and honor the good in people, and in things and situations. And that's a contemplation, because it's not easy to do. You know, you have to kind of gaze at it longer. You have to gaze at, you know, she lost a really amazing person in the flesh.
Yeah.
In the flesh. Did we lose her? Is she lost? I think she may be found. We may be lost. And I don't know that, but let me think about it.
Yeah.
Let me ask the question. Let me contemplate. What is eternity? What is the kingdom that we can't see? And what if we begin to start seeing it? And let's look at the things a little bit differently, because once we begin to gaze at them differently, they begin to change, and we begin to see what is real and what is temporary, and we stop living after or chasing these temporary, fleeting experiences, and we begin to merge with the kingdom to where it's normal. It's normal to talk to the butterflies. It's normal because the butterfly has angels over them, that they're ministering spirits with them, the grass, the trees, the frankincense. It's not about worshiping physical. These are all spiritual qualities and personas of something very, very ancient that existed before us and will exist here after us, no matter what happens. And so we're privileged to look around and to salute his kingdom. Even as you were saying earlier, you know, having this encounter where you gave Jesus a hug, you know, and I'm thinking about, you know, have I seen him and stuff, and I've seen him in like light visions and like a amazing encounter. I wrote about it in the book, but the grandiose thing, right, where he shows up at this radiant light. But now I understand it a little bit deeper. It's I don't think it's supposed to be deep though. I think this is supposed to be Christianity 101, where he taught us how to see him, and it's in each other. He taught us how to hug him through hugging your wife, through hugging
Yeah.
your brother, your neighbor, through honoring others. He says, don't honor me with your lips, honor me by honoring the poor among you. You want to bless me? Like, it's here, it's been here, but it's so far, it's so foreign, but yet so close at the same time, is the dichotomy of this kingdom of Christ, man, in all and through all. But you got to gaze a little longer, because I didn't think
Yeah.
Jesus smelled like that. I didn't think Jesus would, ask me for $5. I don't, right? And so it becomes Jesus if you honor not just the person, the situation, and the circumstance that you've been given, and make the best out of it. And he did it, and he does it for us to this day. He's still doing that from wherever he is, and he's in everything. He's honoring us, and he's seeing the best in us, and he's calling it out. And we still, we want to be like him.
Yeah.
He did it, 2,000 years ago, but he's doing it now.
Yeah.
And we're followers of him. We want to be like him. That's that's Christianity. The whole Christian mystic thing, that's just a play on words. It's like,
Yeah.
people ask me, what is a Christian mystic? My reply is, it's simply a Christian.
Yeah.
Simply believe that this existence is very mystical. Your prayer life, when you pray that God hears you and he talks back to you, that's a very mystical experience. At least my
Yeah.
prayers are. If yours aren't, then I don't know if you're doing it right. Right. So it's the
Yeah.
invitation into this beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you do it well. You do it real well. I've seen you interview people that you could have disagreed with, and maybe you do even disagree. But
Yeah.
and I know that someone like you, who is so thoroughly knowledgeable about Scripture as well as many other topics, it must be you've developed an ability to be okay with the disagreements, and that's really inspiring. It's really interesting to watch, because Christianity is not very good at that. Like even the Christian mysticism is like another denomination. I belong over here in this space, and we're better than those guys over there that believe that other thing. We continually divide ourselves. But from watching you guys online, and the way that you navigate discussions with people that might think differently, it's really inspiring. And I believe it's what the world needs to see,
Yeah.
is people that can actually be in different thought spaces and be okay with each other. Like, is there not just different layers of understanding? Is there not just different, like you have understandings when it comes to where a word, its root comes from, that I have no idea about, but that doesn't mean that my experience of the word is wrong and that yours is right. I think that you guys do a very good job of encouraging people in the mystic spaces to be okay with each other, and it's inspiring in a way that we also endeavour to try and come and go from different people groups and not have to be right.
Yeah. It's this thing that cognitive dissonance, the definition, it's the idea that people can't hold two opposing views at the same time and be okay with it. And I've heard it, just because I'm wrong doesn't mean you're right. And let God be true and let every man be a liar. The moment we step into some kind of know-it-all thing, you're locked out. You're locked out of like the reality, because it's he who knows, he who speaks knows nothing, and he who keeps silent, he's experienced it. And it's just this new depth of being able just to share this, call ourselves teachers or stuff. It's like we're just sharing what's working, what's worked for us. And I think if everybody did that and does that, then the world will be a better place. And I think that's what the podcast, I've always did it that way, where everybody just brings a piece of the puzzle that's working. They don't have to be right. Like, interviewed so many people, and I've learned a lot, and I've got to see Christ in a lot of different people in a lot of different situations that I didn't even think I would. Some interviews I didn't even want to do them. We had them scheduled. I'm like, oh. This lady wants to talk to me about how her animals telepathically communicate with her, and I'm like, another psychic wants to talk, and another prophet wants to talk. But then I talked to this lady. I'm like, man, her revelation of Jesus, because I didn't know she was a Christian. I didn't know we had anything in common. I mean, it was interesting to hear about your animals telling you that they're hungry through their mind. Like, it's very interesting now, but this was years ago. You know, it's just to honor them and to see Christ in people. You know, that we were told that he's not in a psychic, that he's not in a different Christian denomination, a Catholic, or, you know, Bob Larson, or the people that they try to tell us are our enemies. And none of those people are our enemies by any means. They're extensions of who we are. You know, they're people that Jesus loves and he died for. And we should do that. And if we honor them, they have no choice but to honor you. Whether and if they don't, it's kind of better that they don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is what I've learned. It's better that the person doesn't honor you, because then it goes to the higher ups and they honor you. Like, this is how this thing works. So be a person that walks in honor in everything you do.
Yeah, it's so true.
So there you go, yet again, being like a great human, you know.
Just be great. Yeah.
And it's that place, you know, that inner space of like allowing his love to penetrate your heart in the way that then we're able to be in all of those spaces without fear. And I think that's something that when you're only operating as a Christian from a knowledge base and showing up, keeping appearances, it's really hard to step into places that you're fearful of, because you haven't actually allowed his love to saturate your being. And it's beautiful. You know, I feel like, there's just a lot of love with you guys. It's beautiful.
You definitely helped me, mate, because I probably would have got arrested for assault or something if I hadn't have been listening to your podcast years ago. I was walking down the street here in this town where we are, and Jehovah's Witnesses had a little stand set up, and there was a brochure there that caught my eye. It was about eternal life, and I've been interested in immortality. You know, there's a lot of discussions around the world at the moment with immortality. So I was interested in that. So I made the mistake of pulling up and asking a few questions. And this guy ended up very quickly calling me.
He said your father is the devil.
Yeah, he told me my father's the devil. And I sort of come from a hotel or a pub background. And so I'm sort of used to be a little bit aggressive or on my toes all the time. And I looked at him and I thought, I feel like hitting this guy. And I made him ask again. I asked him again, what did you say? And he told me again, and Kylie was not far away. And I was just fuming. But I think that, you know, listening to people like yourself that walk out the everydayness of having these discussions with people helps even people like me just go, no, I don't think it's a good idea to hit that man in the face. But what I did, I walked down the other end of the street, which is they were set up down the other end as well. And by the time I got there, I'd calmed down a little bit. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to go and talk to these guys here. And I'm going to find out who that man was. And I'm going to have them discipline him, you know, for telling me that. And so I said to the guys at the other end of the street, excuse me, that guy down there just told me that, you know, I'm the son of the devil or whatever he said. And I don't think that that's something that he should be saying to people on the street. I want to know who's in charge so I can get this sorted out. And they said, he's in charge.
Yeah. What a compliment. Yeah, what a compliment, you know. Welcome to the club.
So I was very mad, but I feel like there's a lot of things that God gives you in an instant, and there's a lot of things that take time. And you know, Patience is something that you can believe that you have because you're a son of God, depending on what your thoughts are around being a son of God. And patience can come to you by walking out up and down the street every day, seeing these guys that you want to punch in the face and not punching them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know how can people find you, and what do you guys have on offer that people can engage with?
So our main website is TruthSeekah.com, and everything is linked on there. But we have music on all the music platforms. We have a song together, and I've done 2 songs this year, which is really out of my comfort zone, or was for so long. But it's been fun. It's been a fun new journey. So his music is under TruthSeekah, mine is under Arien, but they're both linked together, I think.
Yeah, the website, everything's on there. We have currently we're meeting twice a week. We've been doing it for years, Thursday nights and Sunday rising sessions, and we just do this, but with just a lot more people, our online community, people all over the world, and that's for like people who support on our Patreon or partners and stuff like that. So it's something that we offer just to hang out with people who need community online, kind of thing. We just do it twice a week and been showing up, and I say people who need it, do it for us. We need it. Like, we need the community, we need the fellowship, and try to let other people talk from time to time.
Yeah, it's fun to get on there and talk about the birds or the clouds, or asking weird questions, and not worried about having to be escorted out of the church for being a heretic.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's a place where there's no judgment, and we can all come together and ask questions and investigate the scriptures or other texts,
or
and
pray or meditate and do ascensions, all that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I've looked at your website just last night and this morning, and yeah, it's got so much available there, and it's awesome to know that we can actually go on there and talk to you like this. What a bonus for the whole world to be able to be in community with you. Thank you for releasing your music, and guys, you are everything that you see in others that you may aspire to be. You are already those people.
Yeah.
Arien, your music and everything that you're bringing to the conversation with your husband is highly valued.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us today, and thank you so much for partnering with TruthSeekah and bringing yourself to the world and sharing yourself with us. We greatly respect you and honor you, and we're very thankful to have spoken to you today as well.
Yeah,
that means the world to me too.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. I appreciate it, and it's really encouraging. You have no idea.
Thank you guys. It's an honor, and we enjoyed it so much, man. Thank you guys for what you do.
Yeah.
And encouraging the body of Christ and challenging the body of Christ, including our Jehovah's Witness brothers and sisters, challenging them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's
Thank
great.
you, guys.
I'm going to take a photo of us, guys, before we finish. So let me see. Hey. So good.
Just thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for coming on, because we've got 100 podcasts, but they're all just me and Kylie down by the river talking. It's the first time that we've had someone say yes and come on. So to get you guys on and be the first is huge for us. We just thank you so much.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to go listen to some of those. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So happy New Year's, and thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
And
Happy New Year's.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great.
We'll let you go.
Awesome to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.